Hey guys, I'm James. Welcome back to my channel if you've been here before, and if you're new, don't forget to hit like and subscribe by the end of this video and help me to grow my channel. I really appreciate it. Have you ever fallen for someone who is completely off limit, who on paper looks like they should be not available at all? Well, buckle up, because today's story is a wild ride through forbidden love, a secret rendezvous, and the complexities of the heart. It all started when I joined a new cheer team. It was a higher level cheer team that I was already on, and every month everyone would congregate in one location to train for a really intense weekend. We'd do like 10-hour days of training, but we had like a giant cheer sleepover at night. It was quite the experience. It gets crazy in this video. When I started this cheer team, of course I got to know everyone, and everyone was super nice, everyone was super welcoming, and it was so awesome to be in such a great environment with some really amazing and talented people. There was one person that stood out in particular, and I'm gonna call him, for the sake of this video, Mark, let's say. Okay, hi Mark. And back in the day, he was everything that I wasn't. He was outgoing, he was confident, he was an incredible tumbler, he was an amazing cheerleader, and he had this infectious energy that just drew you in. It drew everyone in, especially me. Here's the kicker. He's straight, or so I thought. And as we were training and getting to know each other, I tried to play it cool and be the shy kid because I was, you know, nervous, but I couldn't deny the butterflies I felt when I saw him and interacted with him. He would always smile at me and make sure I was all right, like much as everybody else on the team. They would all make sure everyone was all right, but of course it felt different. And of course I just branded this with a harmless crush on a teammate. I put it up to someone that I looked up to and would aspire to be like, I could deal with this and get through it, and it would never amount to anything anyway, so why not just put this out of my mind. So it gets to the evening and everyone pulls all the covers off the beds and they all come and sit in the living room. Everyone's under the covers and they're all like sharing stories and having a fun time. Mark comes and sits next to me and jumps underneath the blanket, and I was boom, 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 boom. My heart was out of my chest. Of course, I'm like super excited, but I'm also super nervous because I like don't know how to act around him because of I had this crush on him that has just manifested over the course of the day. And then it got really interesting because as everyone was talking and having a good time, I felt his hand move onto my hand, and I was like confused and I didn't know what to do, and I didn't want to move my hand away and jump because of course that's just weird, but I also didn't know what to do because of there was other people around, so I just kind of let it happen, and my heart was in my chest and my throat, and I felt like so nervous and anxious. I was probably shaking because that's what happens when I get anxious sometimes too, especially back then, and I just kind of rolled with it. And before you know it, people were going to bed. It was getting late. Everyone was like, all right, I'm gonna turn in for the night. Everyone was breaking off and going back to their beds, and he stayed until the end, and we just sat there and we were talking and just having a good time. There was definitely a high level of intimacy that was happening, and his hand would touch my leg, or we were flirting back and forth, and I was super confused and didn't know what was happening. Before we went to bed, we ended up making out. Like, we kissed. There was nobody else around. It was like very low-key, just made out randomly. He made a move and that was that. We started making out and it was great and amazing, and I was like so shy but also having the greatest time, and we decided time for bed. We fell asleep. I can't remember if we fell asleep together or not, but we fell asleep and woke up the next morning and we had training. Throughout the day he was hyper attentive to me and making sure I was alright, and I knew that it was not just a one night kiss. It was going to develop into something, or at least I was praying and hoping that it was going to develop into something, because of, you know, how you are. You want to snowball it in your head and get to it, and that's how I was feeling. I was so excited but nervous and anxious and like, what do I do in this situation? But yeah, it was cool. And then at the end of the training day, of course, I had the 3.5-4 hour drive home, which I did. I got home and what a weekend, like crazy. But the story doesn't end here. It gets better. So now that I'm home, I was a little bit heartbroken because of course I've developed a little bit of a crush on this guy and I don't know what to do. And I decided to send him a message on Facebook, I think, or Instagram, but we exchanged numbers. Maybe I texted him, I can't remember. And he texted me back and he was like super grateful to hang out with me that weekend. We had such a great time. I decided to invite him up to my area and hang out for the night. There was a gymnastics gym that on Wednesday nights everyone was able to use to be able to practice their skills, whether it was gymnastics or tumbling or cheerleading or circus performers. Everyone could go there. You pay like a small fee and you just go and you get to train for like 3 hours, whatever you want. There's no coaching or anything. It was a great opportunity to hone in your skills. So I invited him up to go to that and he could stay at mine for the night because it was a 2.5-hour drive from his house, which he said yes. So of course I'm super excited. He comes up, we go to the night and do our little stunts and everything. We go back home. And of course one thing leads to another and intimacy forms and we start to make out and the rest. The next day he ends up going home, of course, because he only came up for the night. Lo and behold, this turns into a bit of a tradition. He comes up every week to go to this thing with me. We go and train and have a great time. My other cheerleading squad was there and we were training and it was great because I was learning so much through cheer and then we were building a relationship and it was awesome. However, there is one minor detail that I haven't discovered yet and I found out. And it was that he had a girlfriend. And my heart sank because I really, really liked him. I didn't know what to do because, of course, what do you do in that situation? There's someone that you are developing a lot of feelings for. You're hanging out all the time and now you know this about them and what do you do? And what made it worse is that his girlfriend was also a cheerleader and I knew who she was. I don't think I had ever met her, but I knew her. And it became very complex very fast. But that didn't stop us. I would go down to where he lived, hang out with his friends and his sister and his roommate, and our relationship just kind of grew more and more. I would spend 2 or 3 days there. He would spend a night at mine. It became very full on very fast, and his girlfriend lived on the other side of London, so they weren't in close vicinity, so it was never really a thing that would clash. So we were practically a couple at this point, and I think 90% of the cheerleading world in the UK knew that we were together. Everyone pieced it together, of course, because we spent so much time together. I don't know if his girlfriend knew or not, but she turned a blind eye if she did. And of course, for the longest time, I felt really bad about the whole situation. However, when you're caught up in that lust or love or whatever you want to call it, the world melts around, and anything outside of that doesn't really seem to matter. You're able to misplace information in your brain so that it doesn't ruin what you've got. And bear in mind, I was a lot younger and a lot more naive then, so I don't know how that would translate into being who I am today. Have you ever had that where the world just melts away when you're with them and nothing else matters? I don't know if you've had that, but that feeling's pretty special. After about 9 months or so of this going on, things just started to become very serious. And then life threw a curveball at me and gave me the opportunity to move back to Australia. I know that Mark had also been really struggling with the situation because he had feelings for me, but then he had the girlfriend that he really had feelings for. So I think it kind of all came to a peak at the same time. He ended it and was like, I can't do this with you anymore. Like I can't sacrifice my relationship with her. And I think it's because he wasn't ready to admit to himself that he was into guys that much. I don't think that he would have been able to have come out, and I wasn't going to force him out as being gay to like family or anything that when they didn't know, and I wasn't going to put that pressure on him because that happened to me. So he decided to stay with his girlfriend. I decided to move across the world, and we called it. It was heartbreaking. It really was, because I really did like him a lot. Did I love him? Who knows? Who even knows what that is at that age? I really did like him, and I really did have a great time hanging out and doing all the cheerleading and life things with him when I was with him. It really broke my heart, but I knew that it wasn't going to be forever. It was going to be a temporary thing because, I mean, he was with a girlfriend. A couple of people in the cheer community had told me this had happened before with another guy, so this was also me waking up and realizing that I wasn't the special one that we like to fantasize about being, and it had actually happened more than once. After about 6 months or so of us breaking up and not really talking or anything, I found out that he and his girlfriend got married. I'm happy for them and I want them to be happy. I don't want them to have any ill wishings on them if they're happy, and I hope that he's fully committed to her and loves her if that's what they both want. And I really hope that they're building a happy life together, be it whether they have kids or whether they don't, whether they buy a house together, whether they don't. I don't know what they're doing now. I just want them to be happy and open with each other, because communication is so important, and I really hope that they are having a great life together now. And looking back on it now, I realized that that relationship and that experience taught me so much about life, and that sometimes we make choices that don't necessarily align with our values, but we can get blinkers on and just be in that zone and stuff, and it just allows us to grow as people and start to develop. And we have to learn through life, right? These stories that we share, these are all keys to creating the person that you want to become and learning from those mistakes. They're not even mistakes, they're just experiences through life, and it's so important for us to be able to reflect back on these experiences and grow as a person and understand more about ourselves and how to better ourselves. And with that, if you're going through something similar and you want to share it, of course, feel free to drop me a comment. If not, I get it. I totally get it. I know how it feels in that situation. You're not alone going through that. I've been there. It sucks, but it's beautiful. If you think of philosophy, there's so many philosophies about love. You know, it's better to have loved and lost than never to have loved before. But just enjoy your experiences and really feel them and enjoy them, because that's what they're there for. The heartbreak, the love, everything about life, any emotion that you feel in a really strong way, really feel it, because it's not very often that we get to feel that strong. Even if it's a negative emotion, really feel it, because it's quite amazing if you look at it as how strong you feel that. And remember, some of the most unexpected encounters can lead to some of the most beautiful experiences, even though they might not last forever. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good night.